I had gone to work at a temp office, and during the morning while I was setting up, I dropped something on the floor, and I leaned over to pick it up, and as I twisted around, I ended up in a surprise cabinet attack. The cabinet hit my head, my throat, and it was on springs, so it kind of bounced back again and hit me on the side of the head. It was one of those blows where you see stars and you're kind of like, am I okay? So I thought for about 30 seconds. I have patients in the room waiting for me already. I was a former Marine, bodybuilder. Yeah, I'll suck it up. I'll get through it. I'll get through this day. I continued to work for about a week or so after that. I was still temping. And things started to get more challenging. Every day I was noticing like my patient rapport was starting to decline a little bit. And then the pain got really bad, and I was never one to just stay in bed. But I would get up and find myself trying to look at the computer, but my head was like on fire. So I would lay in a ball on the office floor. And suddenly, it was like all my pain from my entire life showed up at once. And I thought, my gosh, I'm having a nervous breakdown. So we called the emergency room the next day and we got in. During that visit, I told him, I'm really, really sensitive to lights. And when I'm standing up, I'm falling to the left. And I feel super dizzy. And sounds are really excruciating. There was nothing he could do. He said, you know, brain injuries just take time. I used coloring during my healing process. I couldn't do anything systematic, routine, schedule. And to me, any type of meditation is that way. So that became my meditation mat. I knew that as I colored, my right and left brain would connect. And so everything was creative. And not only did I color, I wrote poetry like a master. And I did that because I couldn't find words. If somebody would ask me something, I would have to look. I remember looking for the words in my head and then try to fabricate them. I couldn't do more than one thing at a time. I would freeze. I discovered Mind Eye through a fellow brain injury coach. She told me a little bit about Dr. Z's work, and then she told me about the ghost in my brain. And I read the jacket of what you could see inside. And everything about what he was saying was me. So it took me 3 years to make that call. And when I finally made that call from the first contact, and I knew I was going to be in good hands. I knew. I met Dr. Z, and I knew because I had researched a lot about her. So as soon as I sat in the room, I kind of wanted to tell her my symptoms, but she did not need that. And she looked at me and she said, okay, Sharon. She opened this drawer with glasses and lenses and prisms, and she said, we're going to find out where you are in the universe. Maybe not exact words. And then we're going to find out the country, and then the city, and then the house you're in. And then we're going to find the room. And I knew, these are my people. These are my people. So she began. That was the testing. Toward the end, when she gave me the results, Dr. Z was able to explain to me what was happening in my brain. Dr. Zelinsky is a revolutionary genius, in my opinion. She's on the cutting edge of science and medicine. Her work has helped more people than just brain injury survivors. And Dr. Zelinsky can find the pathways that are broken and fix them. She gives not only restitution for the brain, the eyes, the ears, but for me it was total body. It was getting the entire body into synchronization. My first pair of Mind Eye glasses arrived on September 15th. I put them on when we were going for a walk, which isn't where I normally would wear them, but I wanted to do it in outdoor light. My first pair of Mind eyeglasses arrived on September 15th. I put them on when we were going for a walk, which isn't where I normally would wear them, but I wanted to do it in outdoor light. And the first thing that happened, I put them on and I pulled down the rear view mirror and I was like, oh! And I took them off because I couldn't see my face together, ever. And so the two sides came together. So I said a prayer in my heart and I grabbed my glasses and I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I put them on. Let's look out first, not at myself. And everything was so green and clear, like instantly clear. And within a matter of, I wanted to sit for a few minutes before we walked, I felt blood flow in my nose. And I literally felt like all this pain in my neck that had been chronic for 6 years, it was just ever so slightly starting to like move. Like you could, I felt this movement. We started our walk and I instantly could tell that my left eye was being pulled this way. So something she had done in the glasses was making my eye come over here. And I thought, well, that's interesting because I'm always falling this way. And then it felt like magnets pulling me to the ground, and like I started to like, not totally, but I literally could feel that pull back to center. And a few more minutes, I felt like my lower body had been over here and my upper body had been over here. And they were kind of starting to do this, and I was like, oh my gosh. My husband could only be on one, I think it was my right side, I was more comfortable. And on the left, it would always be, you know, too loud for me. And he could now walk on my left. Even during this first walk, it was better. I was like, oh my gosh. And then when we walked around this corner and the sun was really beaming, normally I would be like this, but I could keep my eye open and it wasn't searing my brain. And I started crying in that moment. It wasn't searing my brain. So for me, it was very profound. Within a few days, I was beginning to get calm for the first time. I couldn't do anything routine. And now I can like plan, okay, I'm gonna start a thing and then I'm gonna finish, and I can do it without getting fatigued. And that is like, that's like a miracle. That's a miracle. Where am I now? The trauma was so severe, I didn't think that would ever stop. Nothing felt possible before. I didn't feel I would ever be able to move on, to make friends, to work again, to like myself again. I love who I am, but it's very difficult to live when you're shaking all the time. All I have planned feels possible, and it used to feel impossible. And my recovery has begun already, and it really is a night and day difference. It really is. It's a miracle, in fact.